Is your background not working because the blanket is not quite filling the screen?
No, it's something strange happening with my camera. Because you obviously can't see, but on my second screen, I can see myself about 15 times doing backwards.
There's a slight delay as well with you, Keith. You speak,
Yeah.
the video kind of takes a few seconds to kind of catch up.
Yeah, something's not quite right tonight with my camera, but I don't know quite what it is. Right, okay, we are now live on YouTube. There's no one watching, so.
Is your background not working because the blanket is not quite filling the screen?
No, something's strange happening with my camera.
That's a slow echo.
That's the delay going on to YouTube. YouTube runs about 4 seconds behind. Because the idea is that me being in control of the meeting is that if someone starts swearing, I can stop them before it gets to YouTube.
Very big brother of us.
Yeah, mind you, I have to say our full EHTC council meeting that we had, it was just as well we had that delay. Anyway, right, and I don't know why I keep disappearing.
Can we have a volunteer to check whether that works all right?
It's Don Gerald.
Join the meeting. We are going. So, oh, someone else is coming in. I don't know who that is. Who is that?
I keep getting a green shape with.
Yeah, it's my camera playing about how.
Oh, is it? Right.
I don't know who this person is.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes. Who are you?
This is Don. This is Don here.
Oh, hi, Don.
Hi. I haven't been able to get in for some reason. I haven't been able to get in on the video, so I'm coming on the audio at the moment.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we've had a few connection problems tonight, but
I've been trying to get me on the video. It's on 2 different computers, and it says the list. It says meeting schedule start 7:30. I've been on since 7:28.
all right. Okay. Well, we haven't started yet anyway, so you haven't missed anything.
Well, can you guide me to get into it on the video?
Would you like me to read you out how to
Well,
log?
I'll start again. I'll start again. Let's close. I'll start again. Right. Right. Oh yeah, it says leave meeting. I'll try and get in again.
Thank you.
Right, I'm clicking on the link now again.
Which link are you following? The one I just sent or the original?
The one that you sent with your email of Thursday, 20th of August.
I just sent another email with the corrected.
Oh, I see. Sorry. The problem is I'm using on my own email system. So there's a different email. Okay.
Would you like
I'll go
to you, Don?
Sorry?
Would you like me to read the latest details out for Zoom?
Yes, okay. Well, actually, no, let me get into the email.
Okay.
Let me get into the email.
I sent it at 1922.
Sorry about this.
I sent out the wrong details. Sorry.
I always forward everything to my own email system because I can then open the attachments. I can't always attach them from yours for some reason. Same happens in Libbook, so it's nothing to do with you. Right. Okay. Wait a minute. Right. So I see. Right. Okay.
If you can't follow the link, the best way to do it is to just open Zoom, go to the Zoom webpage and put join meeting, and then put those details out.
Well, okay. Well, I've got it. So I've got the new Zoom meeting. Right. I've got your email that you sent at. Oh, this is Thursday 18th. This is 15:18 on Thursday the 20th.
No, the one tonight at 19:22. It should. Or I can just read it out to you. If you go to the Zoom, the planning, just open Zoom up.
Okay. Look. Yeah, I'll go through Zoom. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm attached to Zoom. I'll put in Zoom. Sorry about this. Right, I'm going through my own Zoom now rather than using the link.
Okay, if you put
Okay, right, yeah, I've got join.
Yeah, join meeting, then meeting ID.
Oh yes, wait a minute, meeting ID. Okay, meeting ID. Okay, can you give me that?
8892.
892.
892.
You're missing out. It's missing one of the 8s when you speak. It misses that for some reason.
8892.
8892.
1894.
1894.
619.
619. Okay, and then I'll do join.
And the meeting password.
Right, meeting password, yep.
745.
745. Just three, 745?
2.
7452.
745832.
Right, sorry. 832. Actually, I'd written that down. Right. Oh, there we go. My face has appeared on mine. Right, join the video.
Yeah, got you now, Don.
You got me now. Right,
Yeah.
okay. Join with computer audio.
So do you want to kill
Okay,
your mobile phone one, John?
I'll turn the mobile off now. I'll turn the mobile off, yeah.
Right. Okay. Apologies to everyone that my screen keeps going between coming and going. It's something to do with my camera, which I can't stop at the moment. So we'll go with it as it is, and hopefully it'll sort itself out. Right. Okay. Welcome to the end of August meeting of Liss Parish Council Planning Committee. Can we begin, Lizzie, with any apologies for absence, please?
Apologies from Councillor Hargreaves and Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Okay, so we now have to go through this procedure, which we have to go through every month, of declaring interest and that we're here and that we've read the minutes. We've read the agenda and we've viewed any supplementary papers. So I'll begin. I'm Councillor Keith Budden. I'm Chairman of the Liss Parish Council Planning Committee. I have read tonight's agenda. I have no interest to declare in any of the items on this evening's agenda. Howard.
I'm Howard Lindsley. I've read the agenda and I haven't any interest to declare for any of the items.
Claire.
I'm Councillor Claire Williams. I'm a member of the Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and have no items to declare interest in.
Sheila. You're on mute, Sheila. Try now.
Right. My name is Sheila Baldwin. I'm a member of Liss Parish Council Planning Committee. I have read the agenda and I have no interest in any of the items on the agenda.
Thanks, Sheila. Nick.
I'm Councillor Nick Wilson, a member of the Planning Committee. I've read the agenda and the applications and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Don?
I'm Councillor Don Gerard, a member of Liss Parish Council Planning Committee, and I have read the agenda and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. And Sue?
Sue's muted at the moment.
Yeah. Better. Yeah.
I'm Sue Halstead. I'm a co-opted member of Liss Parish Council. I have read the agenda. I have no interest to declare, but as a co-opted committee member, I will not be voting on any of the applications.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, so we move on to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of the 27th of July. The minutes have been previously circulated, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to read them. Can I have someone to propose the minutes?
I'll propose them.
Howard, thank you. And someone to second? Sheila? Okay, thank you. And are we all happy that there are true records? And I can sign them? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next time I'm in the office, I see.
Put our hands up, aren't we? When that for every vote, so I will. So there we go.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Okay, anybody got any matters arising from the minutes? No? Okay, good. So we move on then to, we don't have any, don't we run that, other than the Wild Farm, we've not had any submissions from members of the public this year, have we?
We had one
Yes.
for the top of Mint Road as well. I circulated.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the first.
You can cover those when those planning applications come up.
Yeah. So we've got the first three planning applications that we've got on the agenda tonight are all, well, no, actually 2 of them are prior approval, one's a full application. So the first 2 which are prior approval is that the utilities, like the mobile phone companies, have a sort of statutory right almost to develop, but that doesn't mean that we have to accept the development. As a committee, we can still comment on the location and the appearance. What we can't comment on is the principle of development, because that's written into statute. And so what these applications are actually asking the planning authority at the moment, i.e. asking East Hants District Council on behalf of the National Park, is do they need to submit a planning application or not? And if the District Council doesn't get back to them within 8 weeks with a decision, then it's deemed to be given planning permission. So they have quite a tight margin on them. So if we take the first one, which is probably the most contentious one, I would suggest, which is from PE, who want to erect a 17.5 metre monopole with 2 300mm dishes with 2 equipment cabinets and then associated ancillary works there too. And they want to put them at the junction of Station Road and Riverside Close. Basically outside what used to be the NFU building. And I don't know if you can bring up a location plan, Lizzie, can you?
You're muted, Lizzie.
Can you see my screen?
No, not at the moment. Have I enabled?
Here?
Share
Oh,
screen.
disabled participant screen sharing, Keith.
Right, okay. Should be able to do it now, Lizzie.
Oh, right.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Yep, very good.
Yep.
So that's where it's proposed to go, which is basically right on the corner. It's basically just in front of the surgery. But if you imagine a 17.5-meter pole there, and to put that into context, because I actually had a quick chat with the people at EE, it's about a meter higher than the one that's in the mainline business park at the moment. So if you've seen that one that's already there, this one is about a meter higher than that. I did ask them, couldn't they use the one that's already in mainline business park, but apparently that belongs to O2 and not to EE, and for some reason best known to themselves, O2 won't let EE put their dishes on their pole. So they're saying it has to be a separate pole. The reason for this, by the way, and the other two, which we've got to look at, the Mint Road one and the Wild Farm one, are because EE are now providing the Wi-Fi service to South Western Railway, and people are complaining that the signal they're getting is not very good. And so the aim of it's not just in our area, it's right all the way from basically London to Portsmouth. EE are putting in additional poles, or want to put in additional poles, so that the mobile signal and the Wi-Fi signal on the train is better. I suspect, however, if I'm totally honest, that at the moment, given the lack of people using the train, probably the Wi-Fi signal is a lot better on the train than it normally is anyway, just because there aren't the same number of people trying to use it. But that's an aside. So anyone have any comments on this? Who wants to kick off?
I couldn't quite see on the plan because it wasn't big enough, and I wasn't able to open the plan. It's in front of the doctor's surgery, not in front.
Yeah, basically, it's right in the corner of the doctor's car park.
Okay.
On the grass, I think.
Hmm? Oh no, out the front. Sorry, on the grass,
grass.
out the front of the car park.
It's on the screen.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I thought it was from what I could see. I think it's totally inappropriate for that position. I think it's out of kilter with the rest of the street scene, and I think we should object strongly.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes.
Oh, Sheila, sorry.
Yeah. Basically, one of the reports, I can't remember which one it was, it says it is acknowledged that the proposed mast is taller than existing electrical transmission, this, that, and the other, and it will result in a degree of landscape and visual impact for consideration on the planning balance. Now, this is going to go on Station Road, and we, as a parish council, have a current project to develop the village centre to make it more aesthetically pleasing, etc., etc. So if we've now got something that's higher, taller than all the other existing whatever poles and what have you, and it talks about it already outside an amenity building. Well, that amenity building's a GP surgery. And so everybody's going to see that every time they go in and out of the surgery. And also, just going on a little bit, I read this when I was looking at the Mint Road documents, and some guy said basically the priority for all three of these applications is to the rail traveller.
Yeah.
And even then, it's only for a third of the passengers, those who are EE customers. So it's for a very small number of people who are passing through. If you look at the diagrams of where the reception will be high, it doesn't spread very far from round about where the actual mast is. Looking at that thing that's got purple, tangerine and turquoise and what have you. So it basically seems that all three of them are for the advantage of rail travellers, not for the people of Liss. And, you know, even the people who've drawn up these documents say that, yes, it's taller than existing things, and yes, there will be a degree of landscape and visual impact. So, to me, the argument they kept putting forward that the colour would be grey and would merge into the sky, and the base cabinets would be green and would merge into surrounding greenery, seemed pretty fatuous to me. Anyway.
Okay, yeah. So.
Thank you, yes. Well, the National Park Landscape Officer has come out really very strongly, putting in a holding objection, saying that the cumulative impact of 10 masts along the line and the impact on the landscape, that the limited benefit doesn't outweigh the harm to the landscape, and they have failed to demonstrate, you know, it's not best practice, and they haven't put forward any possible mitigation measures. So I think we should object very strongly.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of backing up the National Park Officer.
Nick, and then I'll come to Don. Nick.
I rather agree with Mr. Bierman and his comments. Actually, I don't think. I mean, it's a very tall mast. It's not particularly objectionable to look at as compared with some others. But have they actually thought creatively about where to put it to produce least aesthetic damage? And have they looked in the station car park? You know, have they looked opposite the station car park? It seems to me that they've been lazy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Don.
Well, first point, have we heard anything from the doctors? Have they expressed a view? Does anyone know about that?
Don't think they have, unless something's come in the last day or two. No.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd be interested to hear their views, but basically, I agree with what's just been said by everyone. Really, to me, it is particularly Howard. I think it's inconsistent with the street scene. So I think we should object.
Yeah, Claire, do you have anything you want to add?
Just to completely and thoroughly agree with the landscape officer, who was worried about the cumulative effect of it. And to let this happen, what's happening over and over again until we live in a village full of mobile phone masts.
Yeah,
it's allowing it to happen sets a precedent.
Okay, so I'm not. I don't think I'm going to go around and take a vote because I don't think I need to. I think we got a strong objection to this one, so we'll come up with some words, Lizzie, and send that off on that one. Okay, so next one is yet another mobile phone mast from the same company, this time in Mint Road. Can you bring that one up, Lizzie? Okay. So you'll see there have been a number of public objections to this one.
Yeah.
And basically it's going on that if you think where you turn into Mint Road, you've got the sort of little bit of lay-by. Well, it's not really a lay-by, is it? A little bit of gravel on the left-hand side of the road, and it's proposed to put it into there. Now, one of the public objections to this has been the fact that when Network Rail work on the railway track there, they have difficulty moving their equipment into place, because apparently that's normally where they try and turn it around. Which presumably is how it got to be in that sort of state of land with a bit of hard gravel on it anyway. Any thoughts on this one? Anything different to what we thought on the other one, I guess?
Well, one of the objectors pointed out that he only lives 100 meters away, and the safe distance of 500 meters is recommended.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, anyone else got anything they want to? Sue?
There's also the point made by the people who own the field about obstructing their field entrance. I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah, I didn't quite buy into that one, I must admit, because it's sort of round the corner from where the entrance is.
Yes, I was not quite sure about that, but I think the landscape officer applied the same objection to all three.
Mm. Yeah, I think again, unless anyone else thinks otherwise, again, I think we should have a strong objection to this one as well.
And it's policy SD4, which is landscape character.
SD4,
which is mentioned. SD4
and 5 and SD5.
SD5, okay. So unless anyone's violently wants to argue in favour of it, I think we're going to go for a strong objection on that one too. And then the third one is out at Wilds Farm, where.
Can I ask a question about this?
About the Wilds Farm one?
Yeah, because somewhere it said that actually the South Downs National Park want to determine this proposal rather than the district council, because it has the potential to have a significant impact on the natural beauty of the national park and people's understanding and enjoyment of it. So, and the landscape officer's comment that Sue mentioned also referred to this application as well.
Yeah.
So I think all three of them just under the same aegis, really.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Sheila, anyone else got anything they want to add on this one, or again, are we all happy that we're going to basically say strong objection to all three of them?
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, we go with that then. Okay, let's start with those. So the next one then is Peregrine House, London Road, Rake. Roadgate. It's not actually Roadgate. It should be Liss. It's in Hampshire. This is quite a small change. It's a single-story side extension following demolition of the entrance lobby. Are you able to bring up this plan, Lizzie? Yeah, so it's basically just behind the business park. It's quite a big house. And the development is this bit is the bit in front there, which is basically going to come out the, well, I suppose it's the side, isn't it? Actually, the side of the house, and occupy the area just before the outbuildings. Anyone?
I can't see why there should be any objection to this. It's got plenty of space. It's not going to affect anybody.
Yeah, Sue?
I agree there's plenty of space and it's not going to affect anybody. I just out of preference, I think the material's a bit disappointing. You mean that the character of the house, albeit I know the world can't see it, but it is actually got a fine character to it. And I just think the materials, which I think is cladding rather than the sort of white render that the house is made of, is a bit disappointing. I don't think it's necessarily a reason for objecting, but I personally think
I agree. I think
better.
it's something we should comment on and say if they're minded to give approval, then we would prefer to see a render than the cladding. Because I agree. I think the cladding is a bit out of character with the rest of it. Sheila, do you want to say anything?
Well, I just noted that they are going to make sure the dark night skies proviso will be met.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But no objection apart from no.
Okay. Anyone else want to say anything? Claire, anything?
No objection from me, other than the same materials comment made and the same dark skies comment that Sheila's made.
Yeah. Howard?
No, to be honest, I think I'll abstain. I couldn't manage to open these documents at all.
Okay.
So, so it's probably safest for me to abstain.
Don,
I
anything?
haven't already said what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay. Nick?
Nothing to add.
Okay, so we're saying no objection, but we will make a comment about the materials.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we move on to 8 Rushfield Road, which is looking for a lawful development certificate for a single-storey rear extension to replace their existing conservatory. As you can see, there's already a conservatory on the house next door, which this will butt up to. I notice in the drawings for this that they say they're very explicit about the fact that they will not go over the neighbour's boundary, even with the roof, which makes me think that maybe there's a bit of history there that we're not subject to. But anyone got any comments on this one?
We didn't object last time, did we?
No.
And I mean, I noticed there were 2 Velux windows, but as it's replacing conservatory, I suppose that's actually potentially a gain, but we would want to refer to dark skies as usual.
Yeah.
Can't see any problem myself.
No. Anyone else got anything they want to add?
No, I think it's been said.
Okay, so no objection, and we just again ask for the night skies to be taken into consideration. So the next one then is Coombe Cottage in Fletcham Lane. It's quite a big extension. It's a 2-storey extension to the side with pitched roof, dormers to the front and rear, and the roof light to the rear. An open porch to the front, render and hanging tiles to the walls, which is to match the rest of the terrace, following demolition of the existing reception room. So as you can see from the existing building, the building is quite a bit larger than the 2 other properties that make up the terrace. One of the pluses which they've put forward in their application is the fact that in doing this, they'll also create 2 car parking spaces, which at the moment there aren't any. At the moment, they park on Fletcham Lane. So it will take 2 cars off of the road onto their own land. I mean, my personal feel was that as long as it doesn't exceed the 30%, I couldn't really see any problem with it given where it is. But anyone else got anything they want to add? Sue, you got any thoughts on this one?
I would agree with you. I think the critical thing with this will be that the materials are as they say they will be, which is because it is a very characterful pair of cottages. So the materials are fine that they're saying. I just want to be quite sure that they're implemented as they say.
Yeah.
And when I went to have a look, the car parking, there's quite a bank up to the area that they specify, and there are no really clear details about the car parking. So I think we should probably welcome that they're providing the new car parking, and like to stress that we would like to be sure that it is achieved, because there aren't actually any details there as to how it will be achieved.
No, good point. Okay, anyone else? Howard, anything?
Yes, I think just on the car parking, there's no guarantee I can see that they would actually do that, and they could provide the car parking without doing the development if they wanted to. So I suspect that's just something to make it look a bit more attractive.
Yeah,
it might not happen.
I think you're probably right on that. Claire, any thoughts on this one?
Nothing more to add. I noted the same about the car parking. And the design and act statement said that the increase in size will be 26.8%. So as long as that calculation is true.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And anyone got anything else? Otherwise, I think we're going to say that we've got no objection, subject to the 30%. And as Sue said, the comments about the car parking. Everyone happy with that?
Agreed. I'm happy with it.
Okay, so we move on to the next one then, which is 6 Summerfield Terrace, which is a porch to the rear.
Can I ask a question, Keith? Is this an alternative entrance to the building, or just an extra back door and keeping the front door? Because the neighbours seem to be objecting to, they're worried that they'll see everybody come and go. But if it's just an extra porch and not the main entrance, I'm not quite sure why they're objecting.
No, I mean, my feel is it's, as far as I'm aware, that I mean, they haven't mentioned anything in the application about sort of blocking up the front door or anything. So I assume they're still going to use the front door. And ultimately, I'm not sure how we could impose anything on that anyway, because at the end of the day, if they build a better back door and then they choose to always use the back door, some people do always use the back door in and out of their properties. So
I thought the objection had been withdrawn because they revised the layout.
Yeah, and the objection is because there's a right of access along the terrace.
To me, the issue was about the materials.
Yeah.
And there's a Mr. Gordon Osborne supports below it.
Right, yeah. So that's probably the one withdrawing the, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the materials are, trying to think of the right word to use, really. Disappointing, I guess.
Well, the officer recommends render rather than cladding.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would definitely support that.
Yeah.
If anybody's not familiar with Summerfield Terrace, there's strange houses in the back. The front doors are into the bigger part of the garden. So, in a sense, the front is the back, and the back is used as the front. and both doors currently exist. It's just extending the existing one at the back, which is probably used as a front.
Yeah.
But I would think that the materials of the cladding should be rendered if possible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I didn't have any objection.
Okay. Anyone else got anything on this one? No. Otherwise, I think we'd go with no objection, but we would like to see it cladding rather than rendered rather than cladding. Sorry, I went the wrong way around. Okay, so then we move on to Holly's Plantation Road. A 2-story side extension and replacement roof following demolition of existing single-story garage utility.
I was struck by the illustrations suggesting it was a rather sort of aggressively modern looking facade. So because I always feel that I should follow Sue's example, I went and looked at it, and it already is a strikingly modern, aggressively modern looking building. So my initial sort of reaction, I mean, obviously the neighbours have lived with that, and I don't think it detracts further.
No, and it's quite hidden away as well by the trees or the boundary treatment, I think.
I thought that are the Velux windows new? I thought they might be new, in which case there'll be a dark skies.
I think they are, and I think we should raise that under dark skies because it's, you know, where they are there on top of the roof of the extent of the roof of the single story bit there, especially given that the rest of that room is very much glass. I think the potential for light spilling out of there is quite high. Sue?
I think you mentioned the importance of the trees, and there is quite extensive tree impact and statement, and I think it's critical. And I think the other thing that isn't mentioned is, and it's probably important because, again, it's a strange one, a bit like front is the back and the back is the front. The back of the house is very close, in fact, to Hillbrow Road, and it's a big, high laurel hedge. So it's invisible as it is. Should that laurel hedge go, it would be a very different scene.
True. Yeah.
And so I think.
So
I don't know. I don't know that I have ever come across a condition requiring the laurel hedge to be maintained, but I think the boundary hedge is pretty critical here.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we should ask for a condition that the boundary hedging is retained. As you say, it's unusual to do that with a hedge, but I think in this case it does hide it from Hillbrow Road. Sheila?
Well, I noticed they're also applying for a garden shed, and in the diagram that looked quite big, and there weren't any trees hiding it from the next door property. Is it just the diagram that makes it seem excessively large, or, you know, on the other hand?
Oh, I see.
On the other hand, the neighbours haven't objected, so presumably it just seemed quite large.
I think it's probably just the way it's drawn, to be honest, but yeah, I do see what you mean. But yes, I mean, the neighbours haven't raised any objection, so.
The neighbour's house is being done up.
So is it?
I think the neighbour's house is being done up at the moment.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm not sure that there's anybody in it.
Oh, okay.
But, you know.
Well, we can mention it, I think, and just Don, any thoughts on this one?
Well, I've had a lot of thoughts actually, but I'm not sure I should say them. I mean, that's looks horrendous to me, to be honest. I'm worried about the hedge. I'm sure Sue knows what she knows about hedges, but I'm not sure you can maintain the hedge. I'm not sure you can. But what happens if they don't? They make a horrendous problem for anyone going past. So I feel unhappy, but I'm not quite sure why, other than the fact I don't like it.
I was going to say, some time back, we had an application in for the new houses next to the church in Station Road, and there was a condition there about retaining the hedge. And what the developer did was he cut down the trees and then put in another planning application to get it, and it went through.
Yeah.
So we got round it that way.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I'm sort of minded to agree with Don on this one in a way. I really don't like it, but I'm struggling to find a planning reason to say no, they can't do it.
It's very big.
It is big.
Yes.
Is it too big?
Well, personally, I would like us to object on the grounds that it is too big. It's already a fairly substantial building.
Okay.
And I think making it bigger will emphasize its particular design, as Nick said.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what's the feeling? I'm happy to go with the idea that we object on the grounds of overdevelopment, but I'm sort of a little bit doubtful in my mind whether that condition whether that will hold. But I mean, it's the committee's decision. So.
Well, it is too big overdevelopment. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. I should do, I know, but I don't.
No, it would be overdevelopment. Yeah.
Would it?
I don't think we'd have solid ground to object, but I think if we didn't object, we should make the points about the screening and the Velux windows and so on. I don't know how we would justify objecting personally.
The character of the area is houses on large plots with well landscaped around. So the fact that this is now going to fill the entire width of the plot is at odds with the character of the area. I think we might try and say that.
Yeah. Okay. So
is there an argument that if the hedge is not maintained and it goes away, that people will be able to see into the house, so they're not likely to allow that to happen?
It would be close to the road, admittedly, but
it is a very big house, isn't it? You've got 3 bathrooms there, I see.
Yeah.
4 bedrooms as well, so it's a substantial house.
It is. It's a very odd layout, I must admit, but that's okay. So I think I'm going to try and sense a mood here. Are we saying we want to object to it, or should I put it another way? Does anyone is anyone strongly feeling that they want to not object to it?
I'll withdraw my objection to objecting. I'm quite happy to go with the mood of the meeting.
Okay, so I think then that we go for objection on the grounds that we think it is overdevelopment of the site. We also think that it would result in a plot which is out of character with the rest of the neighbouring street scene. And we also have concerns that were the hedge to be removed, it would have a fairly dramatic impact on the street scene of that part of Hillborough Road.
Yep.
The only thing on what you just said, Keith, when you say overdevelopment of the plot, should we perhaps expand that a little bit to say that the houses in that area are big houses on big plots, but they don't actually fill the full width of the plot? And
Yeah,
this
that's
one
true.
would.
Yeah, we should explain that a bit more. Yeah. Okay. Anyone, anything else to add on that? Otherwise, we'll go with that, I think. Okay.
But do you think they would come back and say, well, actually, they're not, the width of the house is still going to be the same. It's just that they're building above it and altering the layout of the new rooms, etc. But the garage, as it exists at the moment, is that width. So they might come back and say, well, actually, we're not building beyond the width of the house, of the existing house.
I see what you mean.
Existing on screen.
Well, they are doing it at first floor level, aren't they? There's a, it might be still filling a lot at ground floor level, but at first floor level, they're reducing the width. And I think that is relevant.
Yeah. It's certainly going to be a much more dominant building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, might need to play around with some words a little bit, but I think we can take the crux from that. Okay, so that's all the applications that we have to consider this evening. Just to take on the next couple of things, the application is approved. 9 St Mary's Road, which is Leanne McDonald's house. The land adjacent to Mal's house got permission, which is going to see that corner of West Liss change quite a bit, I think it's fair to say. But it's got permission.
Keith, were you moving on, or can we comment on that?
You can comment on it, yeah.
No, it's just, I mean, obviously they've ignored, our objections, apart from wanting to look at the parking arrangements, which I suppose is a good thing. But they are asking or saying conditions of the approval are that they should be receiving quite a lot of detailed stuff before the development goes ahead. And I just wondered whether we should, I don't know if we ever do this, whether we could ask to have a look at some of those things, such as the parking, the materials to be used, and the plans for screening, since we have been concerned about changing the character of that part of the village. Those are the sort of things, that we might reasonably take an interest in. But I don't know if the system allows for us to.
We how can I put this? Oh, Lizzie, do you want to stop sharing your screen? Because at the moment, otherwise, all the public are seeing is a purple square. It's a tricky one there. I think we can ask. Don't be surprised though if we don't get to see it. I think it is probably the fair way to put it, because it will be totally dependent on the officer's discretion at this point, what they choose to share and what they don't.
I suppose what my feeling was, having read the objections and concerns subsequently, that would be if we are able at least to ask.
Yes,
we are representing the interests of existing residents, doing the best we can to mitigate the effect of this overdevelopment.
I'm certainly happy to ask.
One of the concerns I have is this reduction in the height of the boundary wall. I think that's quite a distinctive boundary wall there. And I hope they're not going to knock it down and put an ordinary brick wall in its place.
No, they do have to just reduce the height of the existing wall.
Okay. I still think it might not be for the good, but
No, I'm minded to agree with you. It's one of the things that I found disappointing was the wall. Okay, and the other one is Manger's Cottage, which is the detached oak frame tractor and agricultural equipment barn, which they've got permission for. There's no application refused, no new appeals, but we do have an appeal decision, 6th of Green in Liss, which the appeal was thrown out. So the original decision, the original refusal stands, which I'm actually quite pleased about. Pleased about on 2 grounds. I think one was the fact, obviously, that what we requested was upheld, but B as well, because the inspector actually did raise some points in it, which I hope will be able to come across to other applications should we have other appeals. So I think it was a good appeal for us to win, and I thought the inspector's report was very well argued as well, and it's Sue's nodding that it was a good appeal to be upheld, I think, so, or to be refused rather, I should say. Then we've got
the inspector worked hard to insert the definition of a small dwelling.
Yes.
It would be rather nice if the authority had a clear, set of definitions so that no one could, be under any illusion when they put in their application.
Yes, yeah, I quite agree. I mean, just to update members on another appeal which is currently ongoing, which is Ponticum in Father Common, where it was turned down. It's going to be a major test of the 30% rule in that situation. I have to say, from some feedback I had today, I'm not optimistic on that appeal. I think it's fair to say, because of the point which, in fact, Nick just raised, which the inspector appears from initial soundings to be taking the view of saying, well, 30% is fine if it's to protect a small house, but if it's already a big house, then 30% doesn't matter. And part of his argument for that, as I understand it, is that if you have a house that's £2 million already, they're making it £3 million doesn't actually make that house any less affordable, which is a viewpoint, not a viewpoint necessarily we would all share, but a viewpoint. I'm hoping that those initial soundings are not to be, because I think the danger is that if it's established that for houses over a certain size, the 30% doesn't matter, then we're going to see a multitude of applications, which in effect we're going to be fairly defenseless to do anything about. But we wait and see. It's early days in that appeal. The other interesting bit on that, by the way, on that appeal is that one of the residents spotted that there was new evidence brought into the appeal, which wouldn't normally be allowed. The inspector is allowing the evidence because he's saying that it makes it's actually brought relevant information to the table, which again, to me, I'm not overjoyed with, because I actually think, if you have a cut-off and you say no new evidence, then it should be no new evidence, not no new evidence unless the inspector actually happens to think it's a useful piece of evidence. But the inspectors are all unto themselves. So then we have the TPO applications approved. TPO's made a none. Monitoring this neighbourhood development plan, we still haven't yet got a meeting or fixed up with Chris Paston, but I'm hoping we can get that fit sometime soon, now that we're sort of back into September and the holidays and things are over. And then the update on the Carla development on Anders Ash Road, well, as you've seen, it is continuing to develop. Just to let you know that there is going to be some fairly major work happening on Andrews Road for the drainage. We've had the drainage put in for the new development, which has been done already, and now under Operation Resilience, or whatever they call it these days, from Hampshire County Council, they're going to be doing a lot of work beside the road, which is going to result in the road being closed in 2 batches, one lot being from Upper Mount outwards for about a week, and then from back from there towards the village closed for about a week. So it's going to have about 2 weeks of no traffic, no through traffic down Andrews Road, which has not gone down well with residents of Andrews Road. But it's work that needs to be done, because part of the issue is that when after Southern Water had finished and the road was resurfaced with the chippings and then tarmac laid on top, because the road wasn't planed beforehand, so nothing was taken off the surface of the road. Where people have dropped curbs, the surface of the tarmac is now above the level of the dropped curb. And so you've actually got a bump, which A, is not very pleasant for people coming out of the dropped curb, but more importantly means that if it rains hard, the water will run off the road down into people's driveways, which will actually make it worse. So the reason the Hampshire County Council are back is to actually try and rectify that, which I have to say, if they'd planed the road in the first place, they wouldn't have had the problem. But we are where we are. So I guess it's probably a good example of sometimes a low-cost solution turns out to be a low-cost solution for a reason. And in fact, it would have been worth them spending a bit more money in the first place and planing the road. But that's what's happening there. Other than that, I don't have any updates on the development. We are still talking to them about the foot crossing to the school. It's all a little bit reliant on Carla's goodwill at the moment, because unbeknown to all of us, I think, what was in the section 278 agreement with Carla for the work they had to do to provide that crossing was not what was originally agreed. But they're now saying, well, we delivered what was in the section 278 agreement, which is what we signed. Therefore, you want anything else done, it's not our problem. So we in this case being myself and Russell, are leaning on Carla a little bit, saying, you say you want to be good neighbours with the village. Well, you know, a little bit more investment in improving that crossing would help your reputation with the village. But as I say, it's totally down to their goodwill at the moment as to whether they will go along with that or not. We wait and see. Okay, so any other business? Anyone got anything they want to raise under any other business? Howard? Any other business?
No.
No, Nick?
It's just I circulated rather belatedly a article I'd been reading about the planning reforms proposed, and I suppose, you know, when I've sort of am feeling pessimistic, I always think good things won't come to pass, and I was just sort of rather sort of horrified by the thought that some way or another the SIL funding might be stymied by this. I'm comforted by the government's seeming inability to do anything without a U-turn. And it sounds as though lots of Conservative MPs will be very upset by the proposals. So I imagine it's going to take quite a long time to go through Parliament. But I just wondered, frankly, whether there could be a danger that our current developers might see this as an opportunity to, in a sense, delay or prevaricate on the SIL funding, if I could put it delicately.
Yeah,
as I can, without imputing base motives.
if I can sort of hopefully put your mind a little bit at rest on that. The new proposals being brought forward aren't going to affect any of the national parks. So because we're in a national park, then it won't affect us, at least in this iteration. Let me put it that way. The other thing is that I did see a document today, which is come out to district councils for our feedback onto the proposals, and I get a feeling it's one of these areas where maybe civil servants and politicians aren't moving in the same rigor, shall I say, because the consultations document says they want answers back by, I think it's the end of October, but they're expecting the whole consultation process to take 30 months, which is, when you put that into 2.5 years. So I suspect that there's a feeling among some in the department that they hope it will be kicked into the long grass and won't actually happen. Because from what I've gathered from this document is that civil servants have been advising ministers that what we've been saying what councils have been saying for a long time is that it's not the planning process which is slowing down development. And you know, there are lots of other reasons that are slowing down development, but the planning process isn't one of them. And there are something like 1 million properties now which have planning permission and have not yet been built. And so, you know, it's but it is something to be aware of. But as I say, the two things are A, the consultation from what we see is going to take a long time, and B, at the moment, this round of consultation legislation is not affecting national parks. So as I pointedly put in an email to a EHDC colleague who's outside the national park, it's one of the times when I'm glad that Liss is within the national park.
That's very reassuring, Keith. I'm wondering also whether this might be yet another example where Rishi might come to the rescue and think of some whiz-o-wheeze for taxing developers that don't actually turn their land into development. We'll see.
Yes, I think you could be right.
I think the trouble with that is that could discourage people from actually having planning applications in the first place. You know, they haven't put anything into it up to that stage, don't know. I think it's more a thing of a doctrinaire move that the government wants to make, and they've just found the arguments to do it, even if the arguments are not very strong and not very realistic arguments.
Claire, anything else you want to add?
No, nothing from me.
Sheila? No. Don?
Well, just a thought, really. It's not any other business. But when we were going through the telecommunications masts earlier, I obviously agreed with everything we all said. But it did strike me there's a quandary there that, of course, we do want better communications for people increasingly as more people are working from home. So there is a sort of catch-22 situation there. Do you know, Keith, or Sue possibly, has the National Park said anything as a matter of policy on masts, the need to improve communications?
Not on the record, Don, no.
No. Well, anyway, that was just a thought, because
yeah, no, I think it's a valid thought, but yeah. Sue, anything you want to add? No.
Who's
Okay.
muted? Who's muted?
Sue, you're muted at the minute.
No, no, I haven't. I was just having a quick look to see if there was anything in the National Park Plan. I haven't found it.
No, so I've not spotted anything. Lizzie, anything that we need to note? No. Okay, in which case then I think we have finished. So I'm going to close the meeting at 8:44. Next meeting is on 14th of September, and thank you everyone for your input and for attending the meeting.
Yeah, thank
I'll
you.
be sending my apology. I've sent my apologies for next meeting.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.